Hey, what's going on, you guys? This is Madam, and I'm coming back to you once again. The title article is Banking While Black Woman Wins Casino Jackpot, but Michigan Bank Won't Cash It. Okay, the article is by TRESA BALDAS, and this is by USA Today. At 71, Lizzie Pugh thought the days of Jim Crow and getting bullied for being the only black kid in school in the 1960s Alabama were far behind her until she wound up in a bank with a fat check in her hand. The Detroit public school retiree had won a five-figure slot machine jackpot during a church outing at the casino and went to the bank to deposit it, but three white employees told her the check was fraudulent, Pugh said, and refused to give it back to her. I couldn't really believe they did that to me, Pugh said in a recent interview. I was devastated. I kept asking, how do you know the check is not real? And they just insisted that it was fraudulent. I was just terrified. Pugh said, getting emotional when she talked about it that April day, only now she is armed with a federal lawsuit that she hopes will shed light on what she alleged was blatant racism by employees at the Fifth Third Bank in Lorville. I apologize for mispronouncing and butchering that name. Straight up, in Michigan. According to her lawsuit filed August 29th in the U.S. District Court, Pugh's check was good. She got it back after much persistence that day, drove to a nearby Chase Bank and deposited it there. To think that maybe they would have the police coming and running after me, it was humiliating and stressful, Pugh said. For someone to just accuse you of stealing. I'm 71 years old. Why would I steal a check and try to cash it? I just didn't think anybody would do that. Fifth Third Bank does not respond to several efforts by the Free Press to obtain a comment. Employee number one, this check is fraudulent. According to the lawsuit, this is what landed Pugh. An Alabama native and church deacon who worked for the Detroit Public School for 36 years in federal court. The end of I'm sorry, I'm reading something else. On April 9th, Pugh traveled with her church group to a casino and resort on an organized outing, where there Pugh hit the jackpot on a slot machine and elected to pay the taxes on her winnings at the casino, which issued her a check of her prize money in a small amount of cash. The lawsuit does not specify the exact amount of the check, which they shouldn't, because it's really not nobody's business. I mean, that woman want her money, she want her money. 2 days after the casino outing, Pugh drove to the Fifth Third branch to open a savings account and deposit her winnings. After waiting several minutes, a bank employee called Pugh into her office, where Pugh explained her intentions to open an account, and then handed the employee her casino winnings check. The employee asked Pugh where she worked and requested her driver's license. Pugh obliged, explaining that she was retired and that the check was money that she had won from the casino. The check contained the casino's logo and address, Pugh's name, and the same home address listed on her driver's license. On the memo line, it read slot jackpot. She left the room and came back and told me that the check was fraudulent and she could not give it back to me, recalled Pugh, who protested. Like, I'm like, why? It's not fraudulent. The employee called a second bank employee. I told them I wasn't leaving. Employee number two proved equally problematic. She also insisted that the check was fraudulent and wouldn't return it. By then, Pugh's nerves was rattling and her anger was building. She called her son, who urged her to call the casino for help. She told him, "I'm not leaving without the check." And then she told the bank employees the same thing. "I told them I wasn't leaving. You need to call the police, or better yet, I'll call myself," Pugh recalled. But the two employees, both of them white, refused to call 911 and summoned a third bank employee. Employee number 3, "You can't have your check back." The two bank employees took Pugh's check to the office of a third bank worker. After several minutes, Pugh went into the employee's office and asked for her check back. Again, she was told the same story. The check was not good, and the Fifth Third Bank would not allow her to open an account and deposit the check. Pugh persisted. She would not leave without the check, and eventually the bank gave it back to her. She successfully deposited at another bank where the check cleared the next day. "I was really nervous," Pugh recalled, of those first few moments back in her car in the bank parking lot. "I had to sit there for a minute. I took a picture of the bank. I had no idea what the address was, anything like that, and then I left." Let's fight this. It was Pugh's niece, 50-year-old Yolanda McGee, who convinced her to file a lawsuit. Initially, Pugh was adamantly opposed to taking legal action, convinced nothing would change. But her niece insisted. Her aunt had been hurt, humiliated, disrespected, said McGee, who remembered her aunt crying on the phone with her after the bank incident, asking how a blessing like a jackpot winning could turn into something so hurtful. "I told her this clearly was a violation of her civil rights. There are laws in place now where you can fight. Let's fight this," McGee recalled telling her aunt. "Fifth Third Bank needs to know that they humiliated you. What they did was wrong, and they need to answer for this." But her aunt was scared, McGee said. The incident had rattled her. She got nervous going into businesses after the encounter at the bank, fearful that something bad might happen. Then there were bad memories that contend with. Pugh had experienced racism in the past, and nothing was ever done. People got away with horrible things before. What had changed now? But McGee wouldn't let it go. She encouraged her. "I said, no. We are not in the 1950s Alabama. We're not in the Jim Crow era. We're going to fight. No one's going to shame you," said McGee, who helped her aunt to find a lawyer with experience in just these kinds of cases, Deborah Gordon. In 2020, Gordon handled a case similar to Pugh's. One of her clients, a black man who won an employee discrimination lawsuit, but the bank wouldn't cash his settlement check. So Gordon sued the bank, which issued an apology and settled the case confidentially. Gordon described these incidents as banking while black. "What happened to Lizzie was really a heartbreaking situation," Gordon said. "Given what she's lived through, and to have a happy moment, something she enjoyed, to be ruined by being humiliated. It's something Gordon has seen one too many times. This is just an extremely disheartening," Gordon said. It's really unfortunate these stereotypes continue to exist here in our metro area. Old wounds open up. Pugh was born and raised in Alabama against the backdrop of the Jim Crow era, where racism was tolerated, even celebrated in some parts, with children like Pugh being forced to live in fear and humiliation. Pugh moved to Detroit in 1971 at the age of 20 and spent 36 years working for the Detroit Public Schools, holding numerous of jobs over the years, including a library clerk, shipping and receiving supervisor, and storekeeper. She retired in 2009 and has 2 grown sons. Though it had been decades since she left Alabama, she still can't talk about her childhood without choking up. Don't cry, her niece told her one recent summer day as Pugh recalled the initial encounter with racism. I was 12, she recalled. I went to buy some candy and then the tears came. Pugh was scolded that day by a store clerk's husband for not addressing his wife as he deemed fit. He jumped all over me. He said, use, yes ma'am, no ma'am, she recalled. Then there was the fear of going to school. Pugh said she and her siblings went to one of the first desegregated schools in Alabama. She remembers stones being thrown at her and her siblings and being taunted her first day in class. She was the only black student and her chair was pushed against the wall far away from the others, and the students started beating on her table. I was never taught racism, Pugh said. I didn't use it or think much of it. But then came the visit to the bank and the old painful memories came rushing back. Okay? And this is the end of this article right here. It was very interesting to me. I just feel that this woman definitely needs to proceed and go forth with her lawsuit. There's no reason a woman who apparently has devoted her life, 36 years in fact, to the public school system and been a productive member of society should have to go through this regardless of the color of her skin. I do find it kind of suspicious that the 3 employees who were white did not call the police on this woman, because if one thing I know about banks, if it's something fraudulent going down, trust and believe the police is getting called before they even come back into the office. Before they even speak to you again, the police are on the way, okay? This is just me speculating right now. This is all alleged like everything else in any of my other videos. It just makes me feel like those 3 white employees had ulterior motives, that they were going, like, they probably were on some fraudulent stuff, allegedly. I cannot speak to whether that is true or not. It just made me feel that way, because why wouldn't you call the police? Why wasn't she encouraged to call the police to settle the matter? And it's just like they were trying to wait her out, and it just seemed like, okay, it was one employee, and then the other one employee went and got another employee, so it's 2 employees. And then when that didn't work, when they tried to stall her out, they got a third one, just to like rattle her. But she stuck to her guns, thankfully, and she would not leave until they gave her her check back, which again, that's kind of suspicious, because why wasn't the police called? This was clearly a dispute that needed to be handled by the police. It seems like to me that they were really trying to strong arm this woman for her check. Like, allegedly, I just feel that way, and I hope that they lose their jobs, and I hope that the bank comes under fire for this, and I hope that this teaches them and the rest of the employees who have an inkling of doing this to anyone else, regardless of color or race, that you cannot do these things to these 2 people, period. Okay? You wouldn't even be a bank unless people came in with their money. Let's not forget that. Okay? So, ultimately, I hope she has her day in court. I hope that she sues them. I hope that, because nothing really happens until you start hitting their pockets. Like, let's be honest. Nothing really changes. Regardless of what business it be. It could be a bank, it could be the NFL, it could be, baseball, soccer, you name a big, thing. nothing changes until it's a public outcry or they get sued. When they start getting money taken away from them, oh, they want to settle it discreetly. Oh, they want to, they have no basis for this. And when I say this, I'm not a lawyer, but however, they have no basis for this. And it's just, I just hope that this woman get her day in court. Okay? And I hope that the 3 employees get fired. And I hope that, they get humiliated and drug out into the public eye and everybody know what they did. Pretty much. But with that being said, please drop down into the comments because this video ran a little bit long. If you stayed till this long, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Please go and meet me in the comments so we can talk about this and get the discussion going. But until then, I will get with you guys in the next video.